Always.
Did you just dab and crack your neck at the same time?
No, I was just trying to crack my neck.
And dab at the same time?
No.
Welcome back to Shaken Not Scared. Here with you as always, your hosts Eric and Vivi. How are you, Vivi?
I'm really excited, Beach.
Why?
Because we're covering one of my favorites today.
Is it still your favorite?
I actually, after watching it, well, first of all, we're talking about The Conjuring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still like it, but watching it with you, I don't know if it was because you were pointing out things in it made me realize some parts are pretty corny.
I think it's because it's very prominent in the rest of them, and I've thought about it in later movies. I probably didn't think about it back in 2013 when I first saw this one, because I do remember it being really good.
Mm-hmm.
I was in college, and you said you were in high school.
I was fresh out of high school.
Yeah, and I remember it being like really good. I was like creeped out by stuff, but yeah, this time it wasn't very creepy. And I think it's because of the very obvious things that come later, and we can talk about those later.
Yeah, but how are you today?
Good. It's been a good week. Last week was my birthday, as you guys know. And
actually, I think this is like a couple episodes ahead of your birthday.
Oh,
like 2 episodes after.
Well, it was actually my birthday
For real
in the middle of the
time.
week. Yeah, last week. And we also went to see the Marvel exhibit. For those of you who are in the Chicagoland area, the Museum of Science and Industry has a Marvel exhibit that's pretty cool. So if you have time and want to go check it out, go now because everything's like sold out.
Actually, by the time I think we release this episode, it'll be like a couple weeks later, and it will probably be sold out because I think it's booked till July 31st.
Yeah, I don't know when it ends, so
September.
Okay, so you have some time, maybe.
Yeah.
But I also got vaccinated.
We did that for your birthday, and you got vaccinated for your birthday, I guess. Vaccinated.
Yeah, so for my birthday. Vivi's up for it next week, hopefully.
But do you want to talk about the creepy content we've been consuming this week?
Yeah, I think you should start because yours is creepier.
I guess mine's could be kind of cheesy too. It's funny how horror and like the line between horror and being cheesy is such a fine line. But I've been watching a couple of things. I watched The Ritual on Netflix, a horror movie that I kept seeing recommended as good. Don't know if you want to watch it. Don't know if we want to talk about it in a later episode. But it reminded me a lot of The Descent. Instead of an all-women's cast, it was an all-males cast, and then they went hiking instead.
There's no caves? It's just hiking?
Just hiking, and there's cabins, and there's rituals, as the title implies. And the monster in the film actually looks pretty cool. Yeah. I don't want to, like, spoil it in case you're going to watch it.
Okay. No, I do want to watch it. But there's probably a really good point in making movies like that, because I think I told you when we were picking The Descent, there's also another movie called The Ruins, but it's also something similar. It's like a bunch of tourists go to the ruins over in South America or something, and they get killed by something in the ruins. And it's just that idea, I guess, of going somewhere and not knowing what's there.
It's precautionary tale telling you that you should just not live an active lifestyle. It'll get you murdered.
Look, it's not enough. It's not. You're not going to prove me
it's
wrong.
Worth it.
I'm going to go.
The other thing I was watching was also on Netflix. There's the Haunted series, and there's the, I'm gonna say American version because they titled this one the Latin American series, and it's all in Spanish. And I was watching the first couple episodes. I think I have one episode left. I keep putting it on before bed and then falling asleep and then having to start them over. I've started them over like a million times.
Oh, I've seen the episodes 30 million times and you haven't, because you go to sleep and I'm awake. Yeah. And it's just on in the background for me.
So what do you think about that?
Do you really want to know?
I found them kind of cheesy. Some stories are better than others. I think that's also kind of the case with the Haunted US version. Yeah, what do you think?
Well, I told you what I thought about the US one, so that the Spanish one's not that much better for me. Because
I think the effects in the American one are a little better.
You think so?
Yeah.
You think they'd make the newer one
Well,
better?
like, okay, just going based off the first episode, I think in horror movies and shows, when you show the monster or the creepy thing head on at first, it's no longer scary, you know? I feel like you got to build up to it a little bit.
So ramped up.
Yeah.
In the first one?
And in the first episode, you kind of see everything creepy that happens, like, right away, and you're just like, eh. But in the American one, they kind of, like, make it, like, a build.
Yeah. What I don't like about it is that the premise is kind of like, okay, so these people have experienced these things, and we're going to reenact them. And I don't believe any of what the people say. I think you brought up there was one where like their uncle or something was a serial killer, and so that one is obviously believable.
Yeah, it was their father, and they grew up with that, and that's insane to think. But that's something that could really happen.
That's something that's believable. But when you talk about these problematic people, I think we were watching something else yesterday where, something's happened to you, you were heavily distraught by something.
Traumatized.
It might just be some trauma that you're kind of channeling into this medium. Maybe purposely, maybe indirectly, but a lot of people do this stuff, and I think that's why it's hard to believe anyone, that they try to sensationalize what they experience, and you don't know if it's for fame or for real.
Yeah.
And I think these people are very obviously just trying to get on TV for Netflix, or Netflix is just trying to find these random people and are like...
This sells, though. This is like a premise that is not new. Another thing, I guess, that's creepy. It's a podcast I've listened to for like weeks now, though. It's also in Spanish. It's Relatos de la Noche. And it's basically this dude reads people's scary interactions, paranormal interactions from Latin America. And I don't know what it is, because I've listened to podcasts like this in English, but in Spanish, it is 10 times creepier. I think it's because it's like you imagine Mexico as this very rural, very, very small towns. There is not a lot of people sometimes. It wouldn't be too far-fetched to believe something creepy is happening.
I would believe people who are more from the outskirts than I would from people who are like closer to the cities. And I say that because you're right. Rural Mexico, those people have their stories that could be real or fake. And I say this because I went to Mexico 2 years ago, right? And there's things that do happen that seem uncanny. And I think when you look for things like that and you do believe in this kind of thing, it's not a wonder why some people believe these things can actually happen.
You sounding like a real skeptic here.
Well, I say it because things have happened to me that I'm like, wow, this is why people believe. But I personally am like, no, there's got to be a reason. I just don't know it.
You rationalize it?
Yeah, because one thing I've told you and other friends is that time that I was hanging out with my cousin's family somewhere. And so we were talking about that. It was like 2 a.m. And this old lady walked by in the street and waved at us. And the direction she was going, there was nothing in that direction. It was pitch black. The only thing that was in that direction was this cemetery, which they call it El Panteón. And past that, it was like black, pitch black road. And the nearest town was like, 30 minutes, 40 minutes away.
You're like,
so where was she
hell?
going?
Yeah.
And if she was going to the Panteón, like, okay, great, but why would you do it at 2 a.m.? And we were there for a really long time, and she never came back. So I'm like, where did she go? And then these other cars would just show up, or people on motorcycles would just ride that way. And I'm like, where are they going at 2 a.m. that they need to go right now?
It is terrifying. What if it wasn't even real people? It was just...
Yeah. And everyone's kind of just acting like it's normal. But, it's weird to see that and not know where they're going. And then,
yeah, that could be super creepy.
This old lady, like, who was she? Why'd she go that way?
Why didn't she come back?
You think of that, you think of other people experiencing those kinds of things of like, oh, I saw this in the dark and I saw this creature, or, there's a lot of urban legends in Mexico that...
Oh, for sure.
La Llorona, El Cucuy.
So many I've heard in this podcast too, Relatos de la Noche, of like, they sound like cryptids and creepypasta monsters, honestly, what people describe. It's cool. Mm. What did you do this week that was creepy?
So, Vivi made fun of me because I was going to bring up Attack on Titan again because it's like the third or fourth week.
We get it. You're getting through it.
It takes me too long to watch shows, but it's getting good. So, keep watching it if you're still watching it. But the actual new thing I've got is I started playing this game called Doom. And I explained to you that it's an old game, and it was remade in 2016. I think the last time that there was a Doom was Doom 3. I was reading up, I think it's 2014 is when Doom 3 came out. But the original one is, super old, and if you look at pictures, it's funny to see like 8-bit monsters. But they recreated it in 2016, basically as a space marine that's battling demonic forces from hell because some portal opened up that was unleashed by the Union Aerospace Corporation within their mining facility on Mars. So, space and demons. Combined. Scary. Frightening.
I've seen you play it. It's more like gory than anything.
It's like you're just a kick-ass shooter person kicking demon butt and, ripping arms off and slapping them with their own arm. And...
Yeah, it's like funny because it looks like you're playing like something like a Star Wars game that you've played in the past, but then there's like demonic imagery out of nowhere in this spaceship.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of different kinds of monsters you can fight. There's one that literally looks like a devil. It's huge and red and has horns. You could like rip its horn off and stab it in the eye with it. Yeah, it's very gory.
Gruesome.
It's more action than horror.
Mm-hmm.
But I was telling you about this other game. Maybe I'll play it and talk about it on a later episode. There's this game called Dead Space, and that one is truly horrifying. It's kind of like Resident Evil in space, and if you don't kill the monsters correctly, they can come back. So you're racing against the time of the monsters coming back. That's what's nerve-wracking with those kinds of games, those survival games.
I think all survival games are just stressful.
Yeah. Vivi throws up.
I do not.
You do with spinning.
That's you. You're like the most chaotic thing ever. And you like will just spin around in these games that already have warnings of motion sickness. So bad to the point that you did make me throw up one time.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a real thing. When it says like,
you didn't believe
you
them?
will throw up. I'm like, who does that?
What weak little person would do that?
But yeah, it's fun. Doom. I'm about to finish it, so I think I'm gonna move on to Doom Eternal next, which is the sequel.
Nice. So should we talk about the cocktail for the week?
Yeah, tell us about it. Looks cool.
It was supposed to look cooler. This was a complete fail. I didn't prep in time, but when I think of the Conjuring, like, so obviously there's the witch, but we're also doing like a witch movie next week, so I kind of wanted to save like a witch themed drink for next week. And I kind of I saw this drink on Pinterest and I was like, this looks so cool, and it kind of reminds me of the color scheme of the movie, which is why I picked it. It's a white and it's got blackberries in it, so it's like kind of like a black and white type drink. It's called Full Moon Martini, and the premise is that you're supposed to freeze in one of those round ice thingies for whiskey. What are they called? Silicone things. The ice molds.
Oh, it's like, what are you looking for?
Thanks for helping me out there, man. I really appreciate it. The ice molds. You fill it with coconut cream, and you're supposed to freeze it for overnight, I would say, because I did not leave it in the fridge enough, and it kind of came out like mush. And the premise is you shake some vodka in ice. You chill your vodka a little bit, I guess. I don't know if this is super necessary. And then you pour it over the ice, and it's like gradually melting, and the drink mixes as you sip it.
Oh, that's cool.
But that's not what happened. It came out all mushy, and then I just added the vodka on top, and then it overflowed in the cup because I didn't get the right cup. So I was like sipping the vodka off, pure vodka off the rim so it wouldn't overflow.
You asked me to do the same. I think that's why I made that face, because you said, don't give me feedback. And I was like, But I think
you gave me all the feedback already. So do you want to try it for real this time?
Okay.
You're like, no, God, no.
That's really good. Kind of tastes like a pina colada, but almost like a paleta. Like a paleta. I don't even taste too much alcohol. It's very good if you like paletas.
Yeah, it tastes like a paleta de coco with vodka. So, I mean, it tastes good. It just does not look as pretty as it was supposed to. Hopefully, by the time we get the photos up, I've, like, nailed it.
Yeah. It is a good drink for such a hot day. It's refreshing.
And again, it's not my drink, so I'm going to post the creator of this drink probably in the show notes. And honestly, I went to her page, and she has, like, a ton of cool Halloween creepy-based cocktails. So I might be using her post for inspiration in the future if I don't fuck it up like this one. Oh, what would you rate it?
I'd rate it a 3.5, actually.
Yeah, I'd also give it a 3 if you like coconut. It just tastes like coconut.
It looks like coconut cream, I mean, the way that you served it, but I'm sure the original look is supposed to be cooler.
It is.
Tastes good, so try it.
That's pretty good for, like, today that it's, like, 70 degrees out.
Yeah, we'll sit on the porch later after we're done with this.
Yeah, so how do you want to do this? Do you want me to give background first, or do you want to give a summary first?
I'll give a summary. We're looking at imdb.com.
Good old IMDb.
Yep. They say, paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren work to help a family terrorized by a dark presence in their farmhouse. All right.
Also, I just want to say, I probably should have said this at the beginning. Eric has pointed out to me something disturbing.
Disturbing?
Yeah. Apparently, I've been saying Pegs the question for like the last 10 freaking episodes.
Shout out to episode 10.
Yeah. And that is not the phrase. Apparently, it's begs the question.
Both don't make sense to me.
But I've decided I am going to keep saying pegs the question, and I'm just gonna anally probe some questions.
Deal with it.
Yeah, I'm gonna die on this hill. I'm not changing who I am.
I said what I said.
I said what I said for the past 10 episodes.
Now that you've pegged the question, could I peg the question as to what this movie is really about?
Yeah, so for those who don't know or aren't into like the horror world. The Warrens are actually real life people. They are paranormal investigators, demonologists, whatever you want to call them. I think we mentioned them on one of the last episodes when we talked about them collecting haunted objects.
Mm-hmm.
But they're essentially the driving force behind all these movies. The Conjuring, Annabelle,
The
Nun. It's a whole cinematic universe for them. And this is one of the stories of the cases they covered. This movie is interesting because I kind of remember it when it was being promoted. It was promoted heavily with Annabelle, and Annabelle does not really have a prominent role. It's almost kind of like, what does she have to do with any of it? But I guess they were just setting up the Annabelle stories that come later. Mm-hmm. So we can talk about Annabelle in another
We'll probably watch it.
Episode. Yeah. But this story of the haunted farmhouse is actually about the Perron family. And the daughter...
Is that how you pronounce it?
I don't know.
I keep reading it Perron.
I seriously doubt that's how this family's last name is pronounced. But there is quite a bit of information. The oldest daughter actually wrote a book about her experience here.
As in it being true or fake?
True. She claims everything was true. There's several podcasts. Actually, one of the podcasts that I got a lot of information on is Creep Street podcast, I believe. Again, I'll link it in the show notes. I feel like they did a pretty good job summarizing if you want to get more details, because I'm just going to go kind of quick. Mm-hmm. It's the story of the Perron family. They moved into this 14-room farmhouse. Jesus Christ. Amazing. I know you have 10 kids, but damn, that's still a lot of rooms.
You got 5 kids. 3 of them are sleeping in the same room.
Exactly. They're all sharing rooms. They moved in January 1971 in Harrisville, Rhode Island. So the mother claims that the haunting started pretty small. Brooms would go missing. Dirt piles would appear in the center of like rooms she cleaned and things of that nature. The oldest daughter, Andrea, claims that you would smell rotting flesh at random places throughout the house. So the thing that's like kind of interesting is the movie makes it seem like the occurrences in this house happen over the course of like a couple months, right? But they actually lived in this house for 10 years. And I believe they were 2 years into living here before they actually came in contact with the Warrens at all. And in the film, it's portrayed that they were all very welcoming and had a good relationship with the Warrens, but that was not actually the case. The father, George, was actually really against the presence of the Warrens because it seemed to agitate what was ever going on in the house. Most of the parts are similar. So a big driving force in this movie is the witch, Bathsheba, who was a real person and did have a child. And the child did die, but it was never proven and she was never taken to trial if she was the one that killed the child. In the film, they claim that she did sacrifice it to Satan. You know, it's said that she did commit suicide, but not until the age of like 80 something. Like she lived a long life after the incident with the infant. So imagine like you are this woman and like hundreds of years later, you've been like demonized like crazy. Because, like, what if her child died? Like, children died all the time back in the day.
Yeah, because of sickness and, maybe, birth. Because it sounds like it was, like, a newborn baby, right?
Yeah. So, it's hard to get, like, clear sources. Because I'm also on this website called allthat'sinteresting.com. I think we've used them before for stuff. I think so. And they kind of have, like, a quick snippet that I was reviewing. They claim that the mother did research on the house and found out that before them, the family who owned it had lived there for 8 generations. And they all died in like horrific ways. Like children had drowned in the pond out front and things of that nature. But I don't believe there's actual like historic evidence to back that claim up. Yeah, so the Warrens were actually not there for a long time. They kind of went in and decided to do a seance. I know in the film it's like a full-on exorcism, but they just performed a seance that freaked out the husband so much because he believed it was affecting the wife's mental state. And he kicked them out and never invited them back in the house again. And again, they lived in this house for 10 years. The oldest daughter claims for financial reasons. I believe she actually does an interview on another podcast. Again, just look up the Perron family on anything you listen to and you could find a bunch of information. But that's just kind of like a quick back view. Actually, the children also enjoyed some of the spirits in the house. Actually did find them to be friends and did not want them to be exorcised when the Warrens came. So just to kind of tell you how different it is from the movie.
That's very different.
Yeah.
At the end, it's like a super happy ending. Mm-hmm. It's not anything like that.
And it's portrayed that the Warrens had like a really good relationship with the family, which was not the case. The husband did not want them there.
They even go for ice cream.
Yeah.
It's good times. Well, thanks for the snippet. So if you want to learn more, you can follow some of the stuff that Vivi posts in the show notes.
Yeah, I will add show notes, more detailed podcasts. Again, I feel like we've been talking forever and we haven't even started the movie yet.
I know. Let's jump into it. If you're ready.
So The Conjuring, 2013, directed by James Wan. Opening scene.
It's the 60s, and it looks like 3 women who live together.
2 women and a man. They're all roommates, it seems.
Really? I don't remember the man. I thought there were just 3 women.
Well, because it focuses more on the 2 nurses having this experience.
Okay. Yeah, so they're reaching out to the Warrens because they're experiencing something going on with this Annabelle doll. The Annabelle doll, the girls think that something's going on with it because a woman or a girl named Annabelle Higgins died in the apartment, and one of them, or all of them, gave her permission to live in the doll. That being said, they left her in a spare room. When they come back from work, I'm assuming, the Annabelle doll is outside the room with crayons in her hand, and they open the door. The room's completely destroyed. There's writing all over the wall. And it says, "Miss me?" ? So they freak out. One of them grabs the doll, goes outside, throws it in the dumpster.
Does the logical thing.
Yep. There's knocking on the doors. The girls are getting freaked out. They look inside, or they look outside. There's no one there. They come back in. The doll is there waiting for them. So they call the Warrens. Warren said, well...
You shouldn't have invited something to stay inside this doll. I would also like to point out that the director who directed this first Conjuring movie also directed Insidious, which Patrick Wilson's also in, so I think he just likes Patrick Wilson.
He's a good actor. I like him in most things he's in. He's Night Owl in The Watchmen. And he's, I think he plays like a super cool dude I think he plays the bad guy in A-Team. He's
in a lot of stuff. You'd think he'd be more well known, right?
I was like, why hasn't he been in like a superhero movie? You'd think.
But he has.
Well, I guess, yeah, he's Night Owl, but sense.
And he has, because he's in Aquaman.
Oh, yeah,
Aquaman's
you're right.
brother.
Okay, so I would take that back. He is a more memorable character.
The actual, like, main hero. Yeah. Well, we'll talk about it, but he plays a Catholic Christian superhero in this movie.
I pointed this out for you, and you said it was not the same every
It was not, so...
But, so they were basically like, you gave her permission to enter your lives. This is not a good spirit or an Annabelle Higgins.
Yeah, they say ghosts don't ask permission to enter vessels, which is kind of like, I think, the opposite of what I've always heard, that ghosts just attach themselves to things. Are they saying that they don't have to ask permission, they just do it? But demons need to ask permission?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. So the next scene after that, it's kind of just focuses on Annabelle, and it's like creepy, whatever, and then they're just, it's
the Warrens
1971.
Take her away, and it's really just an introduction to the Warrens and the kind of job they do.
They take the Annabelle doll. It's 1971, a couple years later, and they're teaching a class. It seems like the Warrens are teaching classes in Harrisville, Rhode Island, right?
Yeah.
And so the local school has them teaching these classes, and the kids are asking, what do you do? Because they're demonstrating a couple things. And I think they were demonstrating that specific case to them. They stopped the
Yes,
the
they were.
And so the Warrens say, you can call us demonologists, ghost hunters, whatever it is, but this is what we do. It then moves on to the family, and you're introduced to, I don't know what their last name is in the movie. Is it the Perron as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're introduced to the family. And they're kind of, it's kind of like, the movie has a lot of parallels, I think, to Amityville Horror. And then it's like a family moving into this giant house for some damn reason.
For some reason, it's suddenly become affordable. Yeah. To this family that has had financial issues. It's the premise of every horror movie.
They're moving in. Dog doesn't want to enter the front door.
Yeah, and I was going to say, after seeing so many horror movies, if my dog refuses to enter a home, I'm going to be like, no.
To the point where, like, I think the first 10, 15 minutes, she's just barking outside and just will not go inside the house. Sadly, she dies.
Super quickly after, like, one night in the house.
I'd be like, Loki's doesn't want to get in here? Like, what are we doing wrong? I don't know if I would immediately assume demon or fucked up house, but it is weird.
So this is why we need to get more dogs. Because Loki gets sensitive sometimes and refuses to do things. I need a dog that, like, is not so dramatic so they can straight up tell me if things are haunted. With Loki, I wouldn't know if he's just being dramatic.
He's just going to sit there with his ears back and just look at you like...
Yeah.
But so Sadie doesn't want to go into the house. And they're kind of like, whatever. Sadie, stay outside then. The kids are kind of going around.
Immediately, one of them finds a creepy music box outside.
You hate music boxes.
I don't know. There are certain things that are very creepy to me. One of them is dolls, and music boxes also weird me out because they will randomly start playing music.
They will.
When you haven't touched them. And I don't like that.
But so, yeah, the kid finds the music box, and the one of the daughters keeps complaining about how it's super cold, and it smells like crap. It reeks in here. The kids are playing Clap and Go Seek, which apparently is a game.
What a weird game. What a specific game that you invented here. I never played this as a kid.
It's kind of like Marco Polo. You put a blindfold on and you play hide and go seek, which already is difficult.
But while they're playing this, one of the girls gets a little too aggressive and tackles her sister.
Rocks her into the wall and creates a hole.
Well, the hole was already there. They just found it because of that.
Oh, I thought she created it from how hard she got hit.
It was already there, and she like pushed her back, and it loosened the board.
Okay.
Of one of them. And then the dad goes in and is like, "What the hell is this?" Using matches, lights his way, and it turns out it's a whole cellar filled with stuff.
Which is weird because...
when you buy the house, you imagine they would tell you that's there.
Or you would ask, like, okay, so we have friends who recently were doing house hunting.
Also told us some terrifying stories.
They did. We could talk about those at a different time. But you would ask the question of, like, okay, so if there's a basement, or is there a crawl space, what's the... I think I don't know if this is the case in the 70s, but when you buy a house, I think you get, like, a layout and a plat of, like, what the place kind of looks like.
Yeah, I think you do whenever you buy a house. I don't know how long that's been a practice. I imagine a while. Because of reasons like this, probably. So
there's a plot hole, because once they do go down there, the next morning, they're talking about how cold it is, and the guy's like, I'm going to go check the furnace. And the furnace is in that place that they just stumbled upon.
That you didn't know about?
So, like, you didn't go into the house asking where the furnace is? You're just like, I don't know where the furnace is. I'll figure it out at some point. And then you just happen to have a kid just run through it and through the boards, find it.
Also, why would the cellar be boarded up?
Right. So that's the question they ask.
The next morning, after this has happened, the mother notices that the clocks are stopping at 3:07 in the morning.
On the dot. And she's got a bruise on her leg.
Next scene is like insight on the Warrens' home.
Yeah, so you get introduced to that room because I think it's like a reporter is asking them questions about their work and what are all these haunted objects? Why do you keep them here? What keeps you guys safe? And they look at the Annabelle doll and he kind of asks, like, what happened to your wife at that last exorcism? And there's this allusion to something that occurred in some previous event, right? Mm-hmm. Ed is kind of like, it's complicated because it's basically implied that Lorraine is a medium.
Is a clairvoyant, I believe is the word they use.
So she had an experience at some previous exorcism that almost cost her her life. Mm-hmm. And so they have this knowledge, and so the reporter's kind of ask him, but he gets done with the interview, and it's kind of like, I think he's not as skeptic as others that have come. You
know what I thought was interesting, and I guess it makes sense of like this, we were kind of talking about it last week, I think, the like haunted collectors. Mm-hmm. He asked, like, why don't you destroy the items, why keep them? And he's like, that only destroys the vessel, not what's in it, and sometimes it's better to keep the genie in the bottle. And I'm like, what an interesting concept that there are objects holding demonic things, spirits or whatever, and they can be released like by accident.
And you wouldn't even know.
Yeah, unleashing something.
What we're saying here is that you should just all be hoarders and never get rid of anything because you could potentially be throwing a demon out.
Yes, that is exactly what we're saying.
But so yeah, he kind of just implies that they're safe because they know how to take care of these items, and so they
bless them and yada yada yada.
Yeah, you see different objects in there. What I feel bad about, so you kind of again get introduced to the Warren family. They have a daughter who is alone a lot because the Warrens are always traveling for these calls they get about suspicious things that are going on at people's houses throughout the U.S.
When the
Warrens
Warrens actually do meet this family and spend some time with them, they're all like, "Oh, what an adorable little family," yada yada. Their kid's home alone, and I'm just like, go
with
home to your kid.
Room.
Yes, with the demon room, and you just left them with her grandma. Like, what's her grandma gonna do?
No. Yeah, something happens later with her, but I do feel bad because there's even a scene that the daughter is kind of like, I miss you guys. Like, you're never
Literally,
here.
The daughter says, you're not here, and I miss you. Like, they're not good parents.
No. I mean, they feel like they have a duty to serve, and help people, but...
Sure, but then, like, don't have kids that you're gonna, like, neglect because of it.
I was thinking about that because I was like, that means that there was a point where in their lives they were demon hunting and then had a child. And she was 9 months pregnant while
and they were
demon hunting. What do you do when you call a demon hunter to come help you exorcise your son or something and they show up pregnant? And you're like, should you be here? I don't know if this is too intense for what's going on.
I think at that point you take a break until you have the kid, right?
Yeah.
But I wanted to point out, like, this thing I noticed, and then it was kind of answered in the movie later on. I didn't remember this, but I'm always like, why do hauntings start off so small? So, like...
He kind of explains it.
And he does, yeah. I was going to get to that, because it's always, like, the little things that make you doubt if it's even happening or not. And if I was like living somewhere haunted, I would just want like full on apparition to be like, I'm here, bitch. And I'd be like, cool, I gotta go. But that's probably why they don't just show up, because you just would leave and they're trying to, like he explains later.
Get the party started?
Yeah, they're trying to, he calls it...
Woo you?
In...
Foreplay?
Hold on. I mean, yes, because they are trying to get inside of you.
Yes.
He calls it infestation, oppression, and then possession.
Insemination.
That's the last one. That's the one he didn't talk about.
Yeah. It's in his school. He can't talk about that one.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was just like, why do these hauntings start off so small? But he kind of explained it.
Yeah. I mean, we could do a speed run of, like, the little things at the front, kind of like we did with Amityville Horror, because, again, the daughters keep bringing up how it reeks. One of them even makes a joke about the sister farting all the time, which, same with Vivi. I wake up in the morning, I'm like, it smells like farts, and it's not me.
This podcast is over.
Yeah. Just kidding. But she's like, it reeks, and the sister's not even moving, so I don't know if I'd assume the same thing, but...
We also have the creepy sleepwalking kid, and man, oh man, I do find this terrifying. I don't know what it is.
You sleep talk, according to your sister. I'm too dead asleep to notice.
You also sleep talk.
Yeah.
You recite entire TikToks in your sleep. You'll also, like, be asleep, snoring, and then wake up and be like, I wasn't asleep, and then knock right back out.
You need to go to sleep more and stop noticing what I'm doing when I'm not sleeping.
Okay. But
so yeah, there's a couple things that happen.
The mom keeps getting bruises. I don't know if you mentioned that already.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Daughter sees Rory. What?
The dead birds flinging themselves.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Do you want to talk about how this happened here when we moved in?
It was like within a couple weeks, right?
It was like the first couple weeks of the pandemic.
Yeah, I was working already from home, and my desk is next to one of the windows, and I just suddenly heard a dum.
We both did. I think we were both actually in the dining area.
Were we? We heard a loud thump.
We heard a loud thud, and
it was like I had taken a break or something, right?
Yeah.
Because it was midday.
And we were kind of like, what was that? Did one of the pots fall off the sink or something? Like, it was really loud, and we just, like, kind of forgot about it. And then you came back to work, and you were like, oh my god.
Because I was sitting at my desk, I turned to the left, and there's like a little patio by that window. And so I looked, and there was a dead bird body up on the floor. And I was like, oh no, what happened here? And it was at the beginning of the pandemic, which I think made it creepier. And you were like, we need to burn this whole building down.
We do. We need to move immediately. And you have a video of it. Maybe we'll post it somewhere.
Yeah, we should.
It was not a good sign.
No. Especially with everything that's going on, it was already creepy that the world was on fire and everyone had to stay home, and then
the virus was everywhere. Literally unaliving themselves into our window. We think it's because they're like clear giant windows, so they don't realize that they have to stop. It full on flew full velocity into that window and died.
Yeah, because we just had heard it wasn't long before I had noticed the dead bird.
It was a couple minutes after, yeah.
Yeah.
And it has happened like one other time since then where a bird has crashed into the window, but
that one survived.
That one wasn't flying full force. The dangers of having windows that are big in your house.
That one stayed alive, so
woo.
Hope he's doing well out there somewhere. But yeah, he stayed on our patio for a while because he
got injured.
Pretty dizzy, yeah. So yes, birds are crashing into the windows. The house smells like crap. The toilets aren't working. The dad wakes up to the TV with white noise. There's thumping. The back door keeps opening itself and creaking, right? There's things that are kind of showing signs. It
gets to a point where he like ties the doors together, otherwise they won't stop slamming.
It comes in threes, apparently, we find out later.
And there's this typical like trope that we see a lot in horror movies where the little kid has an imaginary friend, and I friggin' hate this trope. I want to know where's the antisocial kid that meets the ghost and he's like, I do not want to be your friend.
So imaginary friends apparently are very common. My younger brother had an imaginary friend. Did you know anybody with imaginary friends?
I think my sister did, but it was like... maybe because I had always watched horror movies, I found it creepy then.
I wish I knew more about that kind of thing, though, because I can't imagine being that imaginative that you really see, like, another body.
Yeah.
Another entity. I mean, and some kids have not just human imaginary friends, but they have, like, other kinds of imaginary
animal
friends.
type.
Yeah, bears,
Dead people.
But I wonder what the science is behind that, because... like, let's say we had a kid and they had an imaginary friend. I don't know that I would assume it's a demon or a ghost, Or is it? Or is it? Maybe the science behind it shows that, maybe they see spirits and so they think it's a person.
There's like a lot of stories
it's not science, but.
in my family of when someone had passed away and then the young kids in the family started seeing that person. So no, you're not allowed to have an imaginary friend.
Children are creepy.
In general, like the
Yeah.
sleepwalking, the imaginary friends.
Or the kids who have lived lives.
Oh, past lives, and they're like, do you remember? And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh.
We should watch some movies related to children being scary.
We have. Literally, like, all these movies have had, like, some form of creepy children.
So the friend's name is Rory.
Mm-hmm.
And she's using the music box, and she says, "Oh, you want to meet Rory? If you play with the music box,
He shows up behind you.
when the music ends."
Mm-hmm. It's a terrifying music box. It's like a circus music box, and like a
swirl in the mirror.
fucking Pennywise looking motherfucker comes out when you...
Peeks his eyes out.
Yeah.
So the mom does play with it. And I like this movie because I think it was around the time that movies started to kind of try to be tricky about the way that they scare people, because they do these fake scares where it's like you are anticipating it to happen. And then it doesn't happen, or it does, but then it doesn't happen enough that then when it really happens, you're startled because you're like, oh man, I wasn't thinking
And
that.
I think that's why a lot of people like this movie, because so many times it's fake out scenes up until like this movie came out. And it was like, sure, you had a little bit of that, but the paranormal stuff actually happened out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. So she's playing with the box.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time that the music is playing, it's zooming in on her face, it's zooming in on the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing this roll happen. And then nothing happens.
Yeah.
And the daughter just kind of is like, well, looks like Rory doesn't want to talk to you, Mom. Mom's like, okay.
And then they play hide and clap, and
This is when things really get real.
really get scary because the mom's like trying to hear the daughter, and she thinks she's cornered her in this wardrobe, and you can see but she can't, the hands coming out of the wardrobe and
That's
clapping.
really cool.
And then she's like, I found you. And then the daughter runs behind you, is like, I'm not even here.
And she's freaked out looking through the wardrobe because she's like, what the heck was that? I think that effect was really cool too. Though.
You know, there's a lot of effects in this movie that are simple but like really good. I think my favorite is the one with the clothes line when they're outside doing the laundry.
Oh, yes, so good.
Yeah. Simple as hell. Nothing like crazy CGI about it.
No.
Creepy.
I don't know. The effect that it gives is very like, what the hell would you do if you saw that? A lot of times it's either too extravagant or too not scary. This one is like, you're standing there doing the laundry and then suddenly a figure is in the sheet.
The sheet blew away and it like clung to a body and that wasn't there. And then it flings to the window and that body's in the window.
Oh man, so good. I mean, we'll probably talk about it again in a second, but it's a really good effect. It goes again to where the kids are sleeping. The one daughter has been complaining every night about the other one playing pranks on her and pulling her leg while she's sleeping.
Yeah.
This is when she wakes up for real and she notices that the sister's not even awake.
Yeah.
Because she's been yanked really hard. It's not just been like a couple tugs, it's now been, she's yanked to the bottom of the bed.
Moved her body, yeah.
So she wakes up, she's freaked out, and she starts to notice that the door is moving on its own, and it's kind of ramping up to be this very scary scene. The sister wakes up, and she's like, what's going on? And the door moves, and she's like, there's a figure there, and you can't see it at all. It's just dark behind the door.
It's truly just the kid looking terrified, and you're like, well, she must see something.
Yeah, and the sister doesn't see anything, and she's like, gets up, and is like, well, there's nothing here, and is literally standing behind the door, when the other sister who's crying and screaming is like, it's standing right behind you. And you can see this. We watched it with subtitles because it's hard to hear, but it says there's heavy breathing. I couldn't hear it. And then the door slams, and everyone's freaking out because she starts to scream, and everyone runs upstairs. And the only one that's screaming and yelling is the little girl who saw the figure. Yeah,
the other sister is kind of just in shock.
Yeah, and I was trying to tell you, like, if it happened in front of her too, why isn't she also freaking out like the other sister? But so she doesn't, but she does say that the figure was saying, I want your whole family dead.
Yeah, which, traumatizing. Mm-hmm. I think in the actual haunting, one of the younger girls, one of the first nights that they were there, one of the things she said was, there's 7 dead soldiers in the wall. So it could be, like, referring to that, to the kids seeing things in their rooms and stuff. Mm-hmm. That's not in the story, really. It is all focus on Bathsheba.
Yeah, you don't really get a lot of the other ones other than the 2 that they bring up later.
And they're interesting. I actually forgot the entire backstory of this. And I think that's why I like this, because I think what makes a good haunted house film is a good backstory, not a lazy one.
Yeah, but so it's still kind of going back and forth between the Warrens' life and this family when things are ramping up. Still showing. I think the point of these scenes with the Warrens is to say that like they kind of spend their time doing this ghost hunting demonology, and most of the calls they get are usually fake. And I think the point is that there's a lot of speculation and theorizing things like that the Warrens are just a show.
Yeah,
right?
The Warrens are a very controversial couple that built a business at the end of the day based on these things that are supposed to be like very personal to people, and then sold it to
Hollywood.
I sold it to Hollywood.
Oh, that's funny you say that because I was thinking about the Perron family, right? Or Perron, whatever. At the end, they show the actual Perron family picture in the Warrens. And this is one of many Warren family movies, right?
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, did the Perron family have involvement in this? Like, I'm sure the Warren family did, right? Because
they're the ones who went to Hollywood to propose these movies.
Right.
So, yes.
So, do the families that they talk about also have some sort of say to say, hey, yes, this is true? Or we have some sort of... Because I know that Hollywood will expand and explode things out of proportion for Hollywood's sake, right?
So, I think there is, like... and again, this is what makes them controversial. Like, from every case, there's been people who are like, they did absolutely nothing. They came one time, put their name on this, and left. The Perron family, I think they've only said positive things about the Warrens. But again, the dad kind of kicked them out and, like, did not let them have full involvement. That's
true. Yeah, going back to what you said about how this movie is based on very little of the actual story.
Yeah. And then it's, The Conjuring 2 is about a, like, super popular haunting. It's called the Enfield Poltergeist, I believe.
Is that the one with the exploding house at the end?
Is it? I don't remember.
You know what I'm talking about?
It was the old guy.
It's like super funny instead of being scary.
Oh yeah, it is funny in some scenes, and like the thing is that haunting is like actually pretty cool, and I don't think in the second movie it's done as well.
No, because it was hilarious.
Movie. Yeah, they had like some funny scenes in there that kind of diluted it a little bit. But
yeah, I think after
if we cover it. We'll talk about that one. Maybe we'll do it next.
I think that's why after this first one, I never really took the rest of them seriously as horror because I felt like they were just playing on I don't even know how to call it because it wasn't like they were funny. Like the second one was funny, not actually scary. They were really self-aware, I think, in their ghost storytelling. Yeah, that's why this new one that's coming out, I'm curious to see. I think they've said it's gonna like kind of return to the actual scary nitty-gritty formula instead of being like comedic. But we'll see what happens. Are the casts all coming back? Do you know? I believe so. That's good. So let's get to like the craziest night because we're not even halfway through here. No, yeah. So this is like right before they call the Warrens. They kind of have like their final straw in this moment where the dad's like away working because he's a driver. The mom is hearing what she thinks is her daughter's playing hide and clap again, but it's not. Because it's the middle of the night. It's the middle of the night. They're supposed to be sleeping. And she's following the clapping and trying to figure out where it's going. Doors are opening and closing, and it's the cellar. And it slams the cellar door behind her. She tumbles down the stairs. Because she thinks someone's there. She's like, I'm going to close the door and lock you in. And it locks her in. And she's like lighting matches to try and see. And then, like, you hear a kid's voice is like, let's play hide and clap. And it claps the light out. Oh, such a cool effect, too. That is a really creepy scene. I think that's one of the scenes I remember most from this movie. And while this is happening, upstairs, one of the girls has started sleepwalking again and, like, thudding her head into the wardrobe. And this has already happened, and the father had told the other daughter that when this happens, just put her back to bed. Mm-hmm. I think I found out that when you wake a sleepwalker, nothing actually happens. It's actually okay. That it's a like old wives' tale that you're not supposed to wake them. Is it supposed to be something about astral projecting your body out of your body? Could be. It's not you in there. It's someone else. A demon's gonna wake up. Well, in this house, that's a fair assessment to me. So the other daughter just kind of like puts her in her bed and is like, "I'll just go to sleep." But the thudding keeps happening after she's taken her to sleep, and then the older sister kind of goes to investigate. She opens the wardrobe, and then the little sister has woken up and she's like gasping, freaking out, staring at something. And the sister turns around and it's nothing, but then the camera pans upward, and it's the first time we see. But was it Bethesda? Bathsheba. Oh, I keep thinking Bethesda is a video game making company. What a name she has in the first place. Bathsheba. Bathsheba. Sounds very old world. Yeah, I mean, if this is supposed to be a witch that was there because of, let's say, the family that moved in after was 8 generations, you're thinking maybe 10 or more generations prior. Mm-hmm. It's like, what, 1700s? You know, I don't know what the exact timeline was when she was supposed to be alive, because when they do further research, they claim that, and again, I love that this is a thing. Once again, we have they were related to someone in the Salem witch trials. Oh, great. Which, again, have been wildly discredited. Well, but obviously they're a witch. This is Rhode Island, though. So it's close to Massachusetts. It is. It's still New England. So not too unlikely. If it was like California, and you're like, they were from Salem, it's like, when they cross country. I mean, it's not impossible, because, 300 years. That's not my point. My point is, even if they were related to someone accused of witchcraft, it's not real. They didn't do it. Yeah. The fact that they're alive and were in the Salem witch trials means that they probably didn't get accused. For real, right? Because everyone mostly died. She's saying that she was related to someone.
So obviously, if you're related to a witch, you're a witch.
You're a witch.
Anyway, Bathsheba attacks the oldest daughter, I believe.
Yeah, she's like on top of the wardrobe, bro. And
Yeah.
then she jumps at her. And the dad, you pointed out that the dad's a truck driver, shows up at night. And he goes into the house on all the chaos. The mom's downstairs screaming. The daughters are upstairs screaming. And he's like, what the heck's going on? Could you imagine showing up home and everyone's fucking going crazy in your house?
No, that's terrible. That is not something you want to come home to.
Oh, you're already trying to de-stress, get a beer.
And it's even more stressful. Yeah. And then it's like cuts to a scene of the Warrens teaching another class. They actually show this video of demonic possession. We learned that this is the demonic possession that actually affected Lorraine pretty bad. Mm-hmm. And I want to know if this video actually exists.
When they do this and throughout the movie, because there's the cameraman who's following them around, I'm wondering if these are exact reenactments of actual footage that exists.
Why not show the actual footage?
Well, because now that I'm thinking about it, you said that when they visited, in the real story, when they visited the Perron family, that it was just the Sands on the left. In the movie, they're taking film reel in the house. You know, they set up cameras, whatever. Is that real? Is that all? Does that part happen too? Is there actual camera footage that can
That's what I want to know. If there is, why isn't it shown? That would prove any, like, disbeliever... Well, skeptics will always be like, it's Photoshop, it's edited, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But, in this scene in the classroom, they claim this dude is possessed and that a cross, comes out from his stomach. That's like... If I saw that on film, I'd be like, yep.
It's real.
Demons.
Yeah. Right, especially if they're skeptics. Why wouldn't you... Show that. I don't know. This is why all this is so hard to believe.
And this is why they're controversial.
Yeah.
And this is where he explains the infestation, oppression, possession thing. And we see that Carolyn, the mother, is in the class and actually speaks to them afterwards. And it is basically like, you have to come to my house. It is haunted for real, for real. And they do. And as soon as they walk in, you get the vibe that Lorraine is like seeing things, but you don't know what she's seeing. They're just kind of explaining some things. We get the thing about the door.
Yeah, that
knocking
he asks
3 times.
Yeah, he's like, if they knock 3 times, it's to mock the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit.
What a stretch!
Knock in 3s. Yeah.
What if the ghost has OCD? You insensitive asshole.
Yeah.
It's not about you. It's not about the Holy Trinity.
And he has a farting problem.
Yeah. What if he just has bad gas? Okay.
Yeah, because they say that bad smells are a sign of demons.
I have a glandular problem, okay? I just have bad BO.
One of the daughters is like, no, it's just me. I've had diarrhea for 3 weeks. I don't know what to do about it.
Yeah. Could just
This is her time to tell everybody in the room.
Shit has gotten too real. She's got to confess at this point. Yikes. Because they say demons smell like sulfur, and sulfur smells like rotten eggs or something. What if someone's just been eating a ton of eggs in the house?
It'd be like that.
It really do be like that. So again, the daughters are kind of showing them the house. The youngest daughter shows Lorraine the Nightmare Fuel music box. She actually sees the little boy.
This is the first time we see the boy, and I'm assuming that boy is Rory, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I would also like to point out that
4-letter ghost names. Toby.
What
was the other one? The one from the Amityville Horror was also something else. Jody. Rory. It's just 4-letter names.
So what you're saying is never name anything 4 letters?
What I'm saying is... Yes. What I'm saying is that if we have a kid and they say, hey, my imaginary friend's name is Lucifer. It's like, it's not 4 letters. It's fine.
We're good.
What if their name is Kyle? Then it's probably a demon.
There better be an extra Y or L in there somewhere, kid. How is it spelled? Come on.
Tell me.
Write it down.
It's spelled Kale. Kale. That's still 4.
Fuck. And our kid can't spell.
But so yeah.
Wait. I wanted to point out that the Warrens are really snappy dressers.
Oh, they are.
She's got a crazy collar going on, and he's wearing his Sunday fucking best 3-piece suit.
I was wondering if that's actually a real style because it looks very Victorian.
I think that is actually how they dress.
The fluttery neck.
Yeah, because they show pictures at the end, and it's kind of how they're dressed. And I think that's another reason they were criticized because it was
flashy.
It was
anyway,
you could tell that it was money. I don't know.
Man, it'd be cool if they could prove. I mean, it comes down to everything, right? If you could prove that it exists, bro, I'm all for believing you.
Yeah.
Just don't make me not believe.
But exploiting the stories of the people who this happened to without their consent, that's where it's not okay. They were involved in the Amityville.
Right, but that's not part of this verse either. Right?
They just didn't get the book rights before the other person did.
Yeah.
So they go through the house and then they do this weird thing where they flash back to what just happened, but we're seeing it from Lorraine's perspective.
Oh, because she's like, I saw bodies since the beginning. Because she had seen the boy, so she's like, when I came in, there's been this black entity behind
Before we
you.
get to that, I want to get...
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, but before that part, it's like she's outside looking at everything.
Oh, yes.
And then her husband, Ed, comes to check on her, and she turns around, like, super creepy and suspenseful. And behind him is...
The hanging body.
The hanging body, but you just see the, like, feet. And I just want to say, Patrick Wilson, king of having creepy things hanging around behind him, because this is also something that happens in Insidious.
Oh, and it's also something that happens in The Watchmen. It's a hanging blue
It's also
penis.
something that happens in Aquaman.
It's a hanging blue penis behind him in Watchmen.
He's just the king of oblivious. But... Okay, yeah. So then she kind of goes back and says, like, I've seen this thing attached to all of you the second I walked in here. And she shows the actual creepiness, like the black,
it's kind of
smoky
like wavy,
thing attached to the mother, one of the children, or all the children, as we find out later.
Mm-hmm.
That entity's all about attacking children. And then the hanging from the tree, which that tree is a very creepy looking tree. And it's like not any type of tree I've ever seen in my life.
It's like the tree from that one movie with the writer. What's the movie? You're like, everybody says this is a great movie, and I was like, this movie sucks. Sinister?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like the same kind of tree.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the one analogy I like that Ed makes is that when a black entity or this dark entity latches onto you, it's kind of like stepping in gum, and it's difficult to get rid of.
Yeah, because it's like making it sound like super casual that you get haunted.
You use mayo. It's like getting in your hair. You use mayo, egg. What's the thing to get gum out of your hair?
Peanut butter?
And mayo?
I've heard peanut butter. I don't know about mayo.
You need some peanut butter and mayo to get rid of your demons. But
I also eat away my demons.
Instead of ice cream just makes them come more.
Apparently.
So once they kind of confirm there's this dark entity, whatever, the Warrens are like, we need to prepare for this.
Mm-hmm.
And while we get prepared, while we do some research to find out what's going on in this house, what the history is of this house, you guys should probably start rethinking, are you guys religious? And the dad's like, I mean, we kind of do things here and there, but we're not like really a church-going family. And he's like, well, you should rethink doing that because this is something that is a demon and we are a threat. And because you're not religious, it's going to focus on us. Which
kind of like is something I did not realize about this movie. It pushes a Catholic agenda because it does end up happening that because they're not religious, because they're not baptized, the mother does get possessed. But they're doing the research again, kind of giving the backstory of this house. They realize that Bathsheba was like one of the original owners of the house. Again, here they straight up just say she sacrificed the baby. The husband found her trying to sacrifice the baby to fire or something like that.
It was a fireplace or something.
Yeah. And he caught her. It seems like she succeeded.
She was professing her love to Satan.
She professed her love to Satan, then went and hung herself from a tree and died at 3:07 a.m.
What happened to the dude?
I'm sure he just went on with his life.
He was like, man, that's fucked.
That's fucked. Let's try again because it's the fucking 1800s and you can just start over again. No one cares if your wife dies.
I mean, you probably aren't telling people how she died, if that's the story.
No, it's like a rumor that's actually known in the history of this house.
But I'm saying that, like, the guy's probably just wants nothing to do with that kind of reputation.
Yeah, no,
it's like,
for sure.
It's not my wife, you know?
It's not mine. So I just want to say that this chick sounds metal as hell.
She does.
This chick sounds metal as hell. She's just sacrificing babies, professing her life to Satan.
Out of nowhere? There's like no reason, I think, given.
And then just hangs herself. Like, that is some hardcore shit.
What makes you do that?
It's because you love Satan. You're like, I need more than that.
I need more, yeah. How much do I love Satan? I don't know if I love him enough to kill myself.
Well, it's good. I'm glad to hear that.
But so other stories that are involved, there was a mother and a son who lived there.
In the 30s?
In the 1930s, yes. And the son disappeared into the woods, and the mother also killed herself. There's a couple other mentions of other things that have happened. A neighboring maid also killed herself. Mm-hmm. So a bunch has gone on, and they basically make the statement. She's attacking people who have taken her land.
Yes, right? Because before she hung herself, she proclaimed like a curse on anyone who would live there, that she was the mistress of the land, and no one's going to take that from her.
Yes.
They go back to the house and start setting up. They set up all the cameras, all these like motion detectors. They put bells everywhere. Yep. And it's kind of a funny scene. It's like a 1970s Ghost Adventurers.
It is, because just everything's set up. There's, they got a cop, I think, to help them out. There's Drew, the cameraman, right?
Which is like their student, like their intern.
And the it's kind of like a sweet scene. They're all eating together, and they're like, all right, well, now that we're done with dinner, let's all go get some ice cream and just prepare for tonight. And the mom stays because she's been tired. Hasn't been feeling very well.
They're preparing for that night, but also the night before they had like some light paranormal things happen, but nothing crazy.
So they're like, let's just take a load off, go get some ice cream, whatever.
Yeah.
So all the kids go, and the Warrens
stay to help out.
They stay, and the mom stays too.
To take a nap. And this
is when everything kind of starts to kick off, for sure. Because this is when we get that really cool scene with the sheets. Mm-hmm. They're outside talking, and they're having this very superhero moment thing where this is when it all starts, because Ed is starting to say, like, let me just do it, and you can stay here because of what happened to you. I don't want anything to happen to you ever again. Mm-hmm. And it's a very, like, superhero thing. I'm not going to let you do it without me. And
it's the beginning of that, yeah, for sure.
So she's left outside, and she's fixing the clothes. It gets very windy.
Very stormy.
The sheet shoots off, like we said before. There's a figure in the sheet. Shoots up to the second floor window. It slides across, and there's a figure in the window. Mm-hmm. Pan to the mom sleeping. She wakes up choking out of nowhere. Screaming. And there's...
the witch on top of her.
I wanted to say Bethesda. Bathsheba. Bathsheba's above her. And she is puking blood in her mouth.
Disgusting.
Amazing.
Yeah. And, like, Lorraine runs upstairs and is like, is everything okay? And the mother's like, it's fine. Everything's fine.
You asked, why would you say that?
Why would you say everything's fine? They're literally paranormal investigators there to deal with this kind of thing.
But I think the point is that she's possessed at this point, and the demon or whatever
is telling her to say that.
Yeah. So... kicking it off back to, things are kind of getting weird again. Lorraine experienced something at the last exorcism.
We get the cop, Brad.
Here's a woman.
Here's a woman saying she made me do it, and it's the maid that they talked about earlier.
Because she has cuts on her wrists.
Yes, so clearly claiming that Bathsheba made her kill herself there in the house, and now she's trapped there.
Yeah, the camera's going off.
Because Cindy has started sleepwalking again.
Yes.
And they don't show you the pictures at that moment, but they say to leave Cindy alone because something's following her. She's not the one triggering off the sensors. And she disappears into the wardrobe, essentially, and they're trying to find her.
They're trying to get into Cindy's room.
Yeah.
Because the door slams, and so Drew is listening to the audio that they've set up, and they can hear the voice that says,
I'll show you where to hide, or something.
Follow me, it's safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, they basically end up they follow, like, the UV light, and they find her in a hole in the wall. And so it's behind the wardrobe. Lorraine goes to investigate.
Yeah.
And she falls all the way from the second floor
down
to the
basement. Cellar. Fucked.
Yeah, and she doesn't break her leg like the girl in The Descent.
Just saying, she's a professional.
A professional what? Leg breaker? Holly is a professional leg breaker?
Yeah, she was supposed to be a professional cave diver. No, you need to be a professional demonologist. Jesus has got your back. You will not break shit. Falling through these fucking stairs.
Yeah, she falls all the way to the bottom. It's a very long scene. It looks like she's falling endlessly. And so she's downstairs. She hears the music box.
And she sees this scene play out through the music box where the mother is actually holding Rory, the little boy. And the mother is like, she made me do it. And this is where we learn that the boy didn't die in the woods mysteriously. The mother actually killed him in the house and then killed herself.
Yeah, so the demon has been making the women kill their children.
This is where... she learns that because she eventually, with Bathsheba, like, floating towards her, hanging, her feet floating. So creepy.
Oh, yeah. Imagine a hanging body just, like, floating at you.
No.
Sucks. She's, like, hiding under something, right? Or is it just made to look like...
she's hiding under, like, a table.
Okay, I was like, I don't remember seeing the top half. You could just see the feet hanging and coming closer. So Lorraine basically decides that she's feeding off of Carolyn, and so they need to leave because it's feeding off of Carolyn. And Nancy's hair, like, when they're doing this, Nancy's hair suddenly gets pulled up.
Oh, yeah. They play Toss the Child with Nancy.
It's so chaotic, and she's getting thrown around. She gets thrown into some glass. Everyone's trying to
catch her.
Lorraine grabs some scissors and just
cuts her hair. And that solves the problem. Couldn't the ghost just grab more hair?
Or her whole head?
Yes.
But, so they all try to grab her. Lorraine cuts her hair. They bring proof to the church, basically saying, like, yo, this is real.
Yeah, they've, like... taped all of this and are showing it to the father, and the father's like, this family's not in my parish, this family's not baptized, this family's like,
I have to get approval from the Vatican, like every
and
other
they're like
movie.
Really? Yeah, let's not talk about Catholics and their rules. And then at the end he's like, fine, I'll freaking do it. And then we get a scene back to the Warrens' house that is insanely covered in floral print. Even their daughter's covered in floral print.
It's the 70s.
It's too much.
But so she's hearing noise, right? Because they keep was this before or after Lorraine had already seen Jody's body in the water.
It's happening simultaneously. You get the hint.
Lorraine is seeing her body in the water.
Because your daughter is like about to have like a paranormal experience.
Which, again, the jumping back and forth between the Annabelle doll, because you were saying that there's an emphasis on Annabelle in something you had said earlier. And this Annabelle thing is almost like a side story.
It's a setup. It's definitely setting up the next movies.
Mm-hmm. Because Jody...
I also think it's their most famous case.
Yeah, the Raggedy Ann doll.
And they want to like capitalize on that.
Mm-hmm. So Jody starts hearing things at home. She's with her Nana, her grandma.
Yeah.
She goes door to door, and she goes into the room with the objects. The door is open, and she gets scared because when she gets scared, she comes out and she sees kind of like a darkness approaching her down the stairs, and she's screaming and screaming, and Lorraine seems to feel that.
Yeah, and like they are heading home at this point. It's like, I was afraid that she was going to get scared and run into the demon room full of more objects, but no, she runs into like her parents' office or something.
Yeah.
But it doesn't end up being the right choice because the woman is there combing Annabelle's hair. The two demons just chilling, having a good time.
Hey, you want to join us and play?
Yeah.
I'm Chucky. You want to play?
Oof. We'll do that eventually. But yeah, so the old lady's sitting with Annabelle. I thought it was like an old lady.
I think it's hinted that it's like Bathsheba or even the mother, Carolyn. Like, it's already her possessed. It's something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The girl's in this room and the like chair is moving, and the parents at this point are here because she's screaming for her grandmother. She's screaming for her grandmother. Her grandmother's like, what the hell is happening? And then she screams for her mom. And the mom's like already there in the driveway, but like she's like, something's wrong. And they run in, and Ed Warren breaks down the door. And as soon as he breaks down the door is when the chair gets flung.
Oh yes,
at the daughter.
Thrown at them,
and here he comes with his, dad reflexes, because he like yanks her back like right in the nick of time. I don't think that would really happen. I think she'd get smashed with the chair.
You haven't heard about dad reflexes and how they're just impossible? There's also like the failed dad reflexes.
There is.
You just drop the baby even
There's
further.
like the super impressive videos of it, and then the like fails.
Yeah, but he's one of those the impressive ones.
Yes.
So, but anyway, the mom leaves with the two girls. They get the call.
Yes, because they had told them to get out of there and stay at a motel. And at that moment, they get the call that the mom has taken two of the kids back to the house.
Mm-hmm. The two girls are scared. It's Christine and April.
The ones that I would argue have had like the most paranormal experiences happening to them up until that point.
And they're asking the mom, like, where are we going? Why are we leaving? And so they're heading back to the house. Everyone shows up. Carolyn's about to stab one of the girls with scissors in the basement. Mm-hmm. And they all tackle her. They get the girl. They put her in the car.
Yeah.
I think it was
the intern.
Christine.
Christine's
the one that's put in the car.
Yeah.
The intern takes her, Drew. And this is when the climax of the whole movie kind of happens.
Yeah, this is where the exorcism happens. And there's this part where like they're trying to restrain her and hold her down, and she bites off the cheek of the cop. At that point, I'd be like, yo, I'm done. I'm a cop. I'm not here for all this.
Yeah. They did try to leave. They tried to grab her and take her out of the house, but she starts to... This was cool, too. The house isn't letting her leave, or the witch isn't letting her leave. And so as they try to bring her out the front door, it's burning her body. She's got lashes on her arms.
And Lorraine's like, it's not letting her leave.
What I thought was cool is the line on her neck, implying she was hung so she's got the hang or rope damage on her neck. And so Lorraine is like, we can't leave. The witch is not going to let her, or she'll die. Brad gets bitten on the cheek when they're back downstairs. They tie her with rope.
And this is one of those things of like that you pointed out about the weird hero moment. It's like peak weird hero moment here.
They're going back and forth like, I can't do this without you. Lorraine, you need to leave. I'm going to do this by myself. She's like, no, you can't.
God brought us here for a reason. And it's very dramatic. And I wish you didn't point this out to me because it kind of like puts a downer on the movie for me.
Well, because I was trying to think, like, okay, let's say you're the dad, right? Because the dad's there. Roger is there. The wife has just been handcuffed, roped, and covered in a sheet on the chair, and is convulsing and screaming and shit. Yeah. The cop is like, has his cheek bitten off. You, the dad, are standing there like, what the hell do we do? And the people who are there able to do something are fighting each other about, no, you go, no, I can't. And you're like, fucking someone do something.
I'd be like, both of y'all need to fucking sit your asses down here. I called you for a reason.
Y'all need to stop.
Ain't nobody leaving.
Both of you, I don't care who does it, but one of y'all has to do this right now.
You're so right. I didn't even think about the dad's perspective on this.
They're fighting in front of everybody, and it's like, okay, look, if both of you, whoever needs to leave, leave. But we need to do this now. So anyway, Ed is like, we need to do the exorcism. There's no time for us to wait for the priest.
Yeah.
And Christine is in the car, kind of goes by. This is a quick
April
deviation.
is missing, and
Drew is looking for her. Christine's in the car, and a bird smashes through the car window, and birds start to smash through the house windows, and Drew is freaking out too.
Yeah, I hate birds, so yeah, this is terrifying.
This whole exorcism is kind of cool because she, under the sheet, pukes blood onto the sheet, and Ed is trying to continue the exorcism, and the sheet rips, and it's like, he's like, show your face, and it like, her face comes out like a demon, right, or the witch, but Bathsheba.
Yeah.
And the dad is like, what the heck, that's not my wife. But this is something I brought up to you while we were watching, is, so the dad is like, stop it, you're hurting her, and whatever. And I'm like, what's the point of telling them to stop if the person that you love is convulsing and this is happening to them because the exorcism is working?
Yeah, because the demon's inside them.
Yeah.
Stopping's not going to do anything.
It's going to stay in them. So, yeah. I don't know the point of saying that either. But her face is through. The dad is like, what the heck? That's not my wife.
And then we get some, like, crazy, out of nowhere action movie scenes where the, like, wardrobe, how many wardrobes are in this house?
Oh, he does a barrel roll?
Barrel roll! And then it crashes on him, and then fucking Bathsheba's apparently locked and loaded with a shotgun and shoots at them, and one of them, like, dives and pushes them out of the way. I'm like, damn, this is an intense exorcist.
Was this before or after she broke the chair? This was after, no?
This was before, because then after it, like, flips over.
Okay, because I was like, how'd you get the shotgun?
It was in the cellar.
Oh, so the shotgun. Okay, I was like, I didn't see this. When did Bathsheba get a gun?
Yeah, that's how crazy the scene is. You don't even, like, realize it's happening.
So, the mom, Carolyn, is still in the chair.
Levitating.
She starts to levitate because everything kind of calms down. The house has been going insane. And everyone's kind of just watching. And the chair flips and she hits the ceiling. And starts to smash into the ceiling, and then just drops and the chair breaks.
Because he's like, let her go. So she falls. Miracle she doesn't fucking snap her neck. Yeah. That's what would have actually happened.
You think so?
Yeah.
It's like an 8 foot. It's like an 8-10 foot cellar height. You wouldn't fall. You wouldn't break your neck.
If you're dropped straight down?
Listen, Nancy in Nightmare on... Or no, who was it? Nancy? No, it was Nancy. No, did Nancy throw herself out a window? No, it was Alice.
Sally.
Sally? Yeah, Sally threw herself out a second-story window and didn't break anything.
Yeah, but she wasn't tied up. She could have protected her extremities.
I don't know. Second floor? I'm talking that she was just on the ceiling, maybe like 6 feet up, 8 feet up.
Okay, sure, whatever. Point is, It's not safe to be possessed by demons. No. While this is going on, they find the daughter for some reason in the floor.
Oh, yeah.
And
it was the same hole, though, wasn't it? Where Rory had supposedly shown her was a safe space.
So there's like this whole like system within the house that is kind of discovered. Yeah. While he yells like, "Oh, I found her," the demon like races towards the child because it just must kill children. Yeah. There's like this weird scene of like yelling the prayers at her, and then the husband telling her that she can't do this, that she has to fight the demon. And then I pointed out that Lorraine Warren has the same powers as Edward and Bella's daughter in Twilight, where she can touch people and make them think what she wants them to, because that's basically what she does. She like touches Carolyn and makes her remember that this is her fucking family, and that's what like saves
her.
Bathsheba.
This moment was kind of cool because then I don't
know
why.
Chaotic.
Why did they wait till this? Because like it's not very long after she escapes, right? Ed was doing the exorcism, and it's like at the same time that Lorraine grabs her forehead, Ed is like, it's silent, and it's like Bathsheba, and she turns,
and it's actually her.
I condemn you to hell, and then she's like ah, and then Lorraine grabs her forehead. I'm like, why didn't you do that over there in the room?
Y'all could have done this 20 minutes ago. Saved us a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
What I want to see in these, like, types of movies is Bathsheba's been, like, getting away with murdering all the spirits in the house. So it's, like, I kind of wanted to see, like, Rory come and fucking try to fuck up Bathsheba at some point.
It's not Harry Potter, okay?
Why Harry Potter?
When they connect wands, remember you can see all the dead people at the end helping him kill
that's what I friggin' want. Think about it. You're also a spirit in this house because of this bitch. Revenge. Don't you want revenge?
Yeah. There's movies who do something like that, though, aren't
there? There is. I think it has been done in a movie. I can't remember which one.
Whatever the demon spirit was or the evil spirit was, at the end gets, like, dragged down by the other spirits that they killed.
Yes.
Yeah, it happens a lot, I think. I can't point a movie right now, but I've seen that. Which is cool. No, I agree with you. It'd be cool to see them get some closure. Because what happens when you get rid of the witch or condemn her to hell? The rest are still there.
The rest, are they freed as well? Because she was the one keeping them there?
That's true. I mean, I guess we could dive into like spirits
Haunting.
and what keeps you here, because it's always been, well, at least what I've read is that
Unfinished
those spirits
business.
or unfinished business. Purgatory is Earth because you're stuck here until you can absolve of yourself of whatever you had left to do here. And so maybe killing Bethesda or condemning her to hell releases them from the house. But at the end, I don't know. Do they stay there or do they move out?
Well, in real life, they live there for 10 more years.
Oh.
I imagine that if they drive out the evil force, then, they're okay to stay there. Because they told them, like, if you move anywhere, the spirit's going to follow you, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I know in the real haunting, the situation was more like, yes, Bathsheba was haunting the mother, but it was also because she was, like, romantically interested in the husband. And there could only be one lady of the house.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's weird.
That's not at all in this.
No.
But...
How could she be romantically interested in the husband if she professed her love to Satan? Is the husband Satan?
Maybe. He
Dun,
kicked
dun,
out
dun.
the Warrens.
Oh, there it is.
We solved it.
Plot holes.
The last sequence we get is pretty much they've taken the music box and put it in their cabinet of curiosities. And it starts playing on its own when they leave the room. And instead of showing the little boy in the background, it shows Annabelle.
It does?
It does.
Oh.
It's a little boy.
I didn't see anything.
It's the shadow of Annabelle.
You saw Annabelle and I didn't see anything? You're haunted, man.
Well, that's fine.
Did it really? I didn't see that.
Do you want to look
I
it
actually
up?
I just wrote down, it stops playing, long pause.
Yeah,
nothing
you get
happens,
like
credits.
the reflection of Annabelle in the cabinet.
I thought that was just on purpose. I thought it was just because she was there.
I think it's done on purpose because she
Focus.
becomes like a really big part in their universe later.
Okay, that's the movie. What did you think?
I would rate it.
Do you still love it?
I do think it's still done pretty well. I think I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I agree. I'd say 8. It's better than Amityville, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Way better. I think the haunts are cool. The sheet scene's cool. The hand clapping in the wardrobe is cool.
And again, not crazy effects that make it over the top,
No. And if you look at the original story, unlike the Amityville one that's kind of like very unbelievable, this one at least has some sort of like meat to the story to make it so that it's like, is it real? Is it not real?
Yeah, I think they just
question
better developed it in this one.
Yeah, because we said Amityville had, black.
It had the potential. It's a great backstory for a haunting, for sure. But, like, the way the movie was done, I just don't think was executed well.
No, and the dog dies in this one. Sad face.
Actually, in Amityville, in, like, real life, when they moved in, the dog also dies. They just didn't do that in
Harry's not alive?
this movie.
What?
That movie gets a 4 out of 10 now.
Yeah, but no, this one's good. I like it. So I'm glad you still like it. Because I know you always tell people about it.
I mean, you definitely brought down the rating for me.
With the superhero
With
moments?
the superhero cheesiness.
Yeah. But, so, do you want to talk about what scared Loki this week?
Sure. It was actually pretty funny because it was the grandfather clock in the movie. Kind of sounds like a dog barking for some reason.
It did. Yeah, that's weird.
And it scared him.
Yeah.
He thought there was a dog in the house.
Yeah.
So,
But he'll get over it quick. It's a good thing grandfather clocks aren't a thing anymore, really.
I mean, you could still get one if you wanted one, but I think they're very old and techy. And loud as hell.
They are.
My parents had like a mini one in their living room, and I could hear it from my bedroom.
My
I
grandma
hated
had
it.
one, and it was super loud.
Yeah.
And
So,
creepy.
you want to tell us about it, Log? Sounds good. I promise we won't buy a grandfather clock.
Maybe.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, is that it for this week?
That's it. Play us out.
Okay, as always, we hope you guys had a good time here. You can follow us pretty much anywhere on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, TikTok at Shaken Not Scared Pod. If you want to send us an email, our email is shakennotscaredpod@gmail.com.
You can listen to us on all your favorite podcasting sites, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, a bunch of others.
Please be sure to rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. We got some ratings on Apple. That was exciting.
Yeah, but we can't see them.
We can see the ratings. I don't think anyone wrote an actual review. So if you can write an actual review, that would help.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. Let us know if you did it so we can give you a high five.
And then a shout out on our socials.
Yeah, thank you.
So, okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.